So how's it going, guys? So this week on the PhantomCave YouTube channel, we're going to be talking about The Shadow. Yes, The Shadow was an Australian comic book created hero. He was basically one of those people, and he was originally created by Jeff Wilkinson, and then it got continued. The series got continued, which was first published by Frew Publications in the 1950s. So we'll be having a look at like The Shadow's origin and all that sort of stuff, and then we will be getting into the juicy stuff from the second GiantSize Phantom series. Some great stuff going to come out of this video. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll get into it. So, The Shadow. What sort of publishers did we see that The Shadow had been published by? So, back in the 1950s, we saw what you'd think would be the Frew Publications. They have obviously already acquired the license for the Phantom, and as everyone knows, in the last couple of months, Frew Publications, they passed their 1900th issue of publishing the Phantom fortnightly, and sometimes I think earlier on they were publishing it monthly or something like that. And so we had Frew Publications publishing The Shadow from 1950 to 1952. Frew Publications also had various other names in their history, including Diamond Publishing and Trico Publications, which Trico Publications actually had a role in publishing The Shadow, which I've got this on the script. The origin for the character, which is the Shadow. The origin for Shadow is the comic follows a wealthy Londoner called Jimmy Gray, who is what you'd call a self-entitled playboy who instills fear into the criminal underworld, and basically tries and stops sort of criminal organizations from overpowering people and trying to extort people for devilish operations. And in the introduction of the comic, the first actual issue, which was first published in the 1950s, I'll be having the first published comic book of the cover up on screen right now, and in the introduction of the comic it says, "Feared by the criminals the world over, The Shadow deals out quick justice all to wrongdoers." So the original creator was Jeff Wilkinson. He wrote and illustrated the comic from issues 1 to 12, and that is the Frew Publications issues. And then Peter Chapman took over from issue 12, and the first series basically ended with issue number 23. We then move in. Was there a second series from the character? The second series commenced starting back at issue 1 in 1959. The second series went for 168 issues, which is what you'd call one of the second most published comic that had been created by Australian illustrators and Australian writers back in 1950s. And the second series, as I said, went for 168 issues, varying publishers. So I think we had like 2 publishers that did the second series, and I'm pretty sure Peter Chapman, he did most of those issues, but I think he did do a few of those issues. Like when we're talking about Peter Chapman, he obviously unfortunately passed away in 2016. So I know I never got to meet him because obviously I didn't get into the Phantom till August or September that year. So right now it's very what you'd call, I like The Shadow right now. I have been liking it a lot more since it's been introduced to the new GiantSize Phantom series. which we'll be having a look at soon. The main focus in the comic series, the main focus of the series was a very wealthy man in London wanting to help friends, visitors, and to get rid of crime by becoming a lone dealer. But did the series continue with other publishers? Yes, it continued for a second series by Peter Chapman, and by the start of the 1960s and 1970s, the character went into its reprint phase, and up until now, as I said, we've got GiantSize Phantom issues being published in The Shadow since 2017. And how long did the series last? The first series lasted 23 issues. The second series, commencing at issue 1, ran for 168 issues, varying publishers. And comic stories from the second GiantSize Phantom series included the original set of issues from the original set of stories from those original issues, and the second Shadow series, I'm thinking, is in a couple of the later-ish Shadow stories in those the new GiantSize Phantom series. And now we'll be taking a look at the 4 issues for this part in the second series of the GiantSize Phantom series. So I'll see you over there. So I hope you enjoyed like the origin part and all the history behind the Shadow. Now we're going to be having a look at the old reprints that have been reprinted in the second series of the GiantSize Phantom series. So basically, like I said in the early parts of this video, the GiantSize Phantom series, the first actual series ran, I think, in the 1950s, and I think there would have been like 25 or 26 issues or something. So we're going to have a look at the Shadow. I'm going to basically say that I think a couple of years ago I might have move this a little bit. I think a couple of years ago, I think I might have basically complained about the format of what the Shadow was getting printed in back in those days. If you can actually see the comic strip. Yeah, this is the first issue, and because it's the first issue, as I remember, I'm saying that from issue 1 to issue 12 was Jeff Wilkinson, and then from issue 12 to 23 that was Peter Chapman. Yeah, and this is probably one of the characters that I quite like. I didn't say that in the first clip. I actually quite enjoy this character. It's just that it's in black and white. It's like, it gives that like pulpness to it, the pulp hero sort of vibe to it, and like all the oldish comic strips back in the 1940s and all that sort of stuff. If you can see the actual comic strip, it sort of gives that oldish, pulpish feeling to it, and I love it when they publish the new Shadow comics. I think right now that the Frew Publications must be up to their they must be up to the second series on, I think, the Shadow or something, and I think they might be on the second series of I think it might be, I think it's the Phantom Ranger, that they're on to new stuff from Phantom Ranger. Like, I'm just gonna say, I love how Glenn Lubston did these covers. He also did that, like those prints that you see in the back of the room every time I show my face. But like, I love how it's simplistic. It's retro vibe, so it's pretty cool. I love it. And let's get into the second issue. Like, originally I had like 4 issues to show you today, but obviously I had a look at the 4th issue, like issue number 5, which is I think the first annual from the GiantSize Phantom series. So I couldn't do that because it didn't have any shadow in it, and because this video is all about shadow and its origin and all about how it's appearing in this GiantSize Phantom comic, which I love, by the way. So the next page issue is 67. The only thing that I don't like about how, I'm just going to bring this point up, like, the only thing, you probably know that I do complain a few times, and not that I complain, I just giving a bit of opinion on what I think should happen. Like, I think that I don't complain that often, but when I do complain, it's stuff to do with, it's just stuff to do with minor details or something. I don't know why I say most of the things I do. It's probably because that's how it is. And you bring your opinion to the videos, and I think the only reason I started this channel was obviously to show my collection and talk about the Phantom, and then talk about my opinion on the Phantom and what's going on in the Phantom, I guess. But back to the Shadow. So this is issue 2 of the Shadow. This is, again, I think, Jeff Wilkinson son. Yeah, and again, I think I may have been my old self complaining about different things. It's probably still with me, but obviously I haven't even read the current GiantSize Phantom issue. It's on the reading list, don't you worry. Oh, yeah, I think we are going, I don't actually remember that story actually. Yeah, so that's issue 2 of the Shadow, and I'd just like to say this again. It's pulpness, it's greatness, and I love it. Oh, I love it. Like, I think a couple of years ago I was nearly wanting to try and make my own costume of the Shadow. Like, I know one of those friends I was talking to a couple of days ago, and he got like a partly made Shadow costume, which I thought it was pretty cool. And kudos to you, mate. It's just cool how someone can cosplay a character, but like do it that great that you see it like at conventions, or you'd see it at like, I don't know, collectible shops or something. It's a great thing that people do, great thing that a lot of collectors do, is that they dress up as their favourite character, and even being that we've just had Halloween. So yeah, it's pretty cool in a way, but then you've got this news thing that happened yesterday in like Japan, where a person basically dressed up as the Joker and started, you know what, peeping people. Yeah, and oh yes, I actually remember this. I'll take it down on a little bit of memory lane. So, a couple of years ago, I photocopied this actual page and made my own Phantom Ranger mask. Oh, I didn't even know where that Phantom Ranger mask has gone to. Oh, I think I did something to it. I think I made it into another mask or something. I might have done it on cardboard, I think. We'll get into the 3rd issue. So, page number 24. 24. Yeah, so this is the last comic in this part. I hope you've been enjoying this part and looking at all the great pulpiness that we're seeing in the Shadow comics too late, and in the Shadow comics that were actually published in the 1950s. It's just great that we are able to see most of the comics, or most of the comics that were published back in the yonks ago or olden days, and we're actually seeing it in like this collected volume or collected series of comics, which is called the GiantSize Phantom series. No wonder it's been popular among the fans and popular among the collectors and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I enjoy it very much. I know a lot of other creators and collectors actually enjoy it. I do. I pick it. You pick it up every fortnight at you pick it up every 4 months or something. Either at your local news agency where I get my comics from and my fortnightly issues from, or I think you get them from a subscription from Frew Publications. Yeah. I think in the next couple of issues, of this part, I think we may be having a look. Oh, it might be the last couple. I don't know. But I think soon we'll be having a look at more of Peter Chapman's issues of the Shadow and how he went about making the Shadow, I guess, doing the art for the Shadow and all that stuff. Like I said, earlier today, the second series of the Shadow ran for 168 issues. Upon that being 168 issues, most of those were done by Peter Chapman. And he's awesome. Unfortunately, as I said earlier in the video, I didn't actually get to meet him. Obviously, I only had started my Phantom collection in that year on August or September or something. But yeah, still, it's pretty cool that we get to have these comics reprinted for us. We get to enjoy the nostalgia, we get to enjoy what they offer. And if you would like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, then you can do so by liking, sharing, commenting which story is your favorite of the Shadow series. Have you read any other Shadow stories that I don't know about? And as always, keep PhantomCave.